Good morning, it's Thursday. Welcome to Saba's Way of Life. Today I'm going to talk about preparing for a week of gardening, which is what I'm going to be doing, and also generally being an organised and generally a prepared person. And I'm talking about daily activities. Living life doesn't have to be over prepared, quite the opposite. You prepare and then you let it go and let things flow, but you have some kind of organisation in your mind. Otherwise you're living life as a headless chicken, not knowing what you're doing from one day to the next, and that's not really a good idea. So first up, I am going to just show you how I organise my seed boxes or seed tray. So let me just turn this around. So you can see here I've bought this basket, and these are the kind of baskets you can buy at your cheap homeware store. I know you can get something similar at IKEA. I got mine from Wilkinson's before they shut them down just recently. And this is great because I plant, as you know, biodynamic fashion, flower, root, leaf and fruit. So all my fruit seeds will be in one tray. And here are my fruit seeds here. And then over here, I've got all my flower seeds and root seeds and leaf seeds. And that, for me, organises things beautifully because I can carry that tray, that kind of tray thing anywhere you go. You can find them in stores. People tend to use them, women tend to use them for makeup these days. I think maybe that's why they were created, but also you can use them in the bathroom. But I'm more of a realist and, or I would say a real woman, and whose focus is less on painting my face and more on doing things that are meaningful and that actually matter in life and that have some kind of purpose. So let me now explain to you how other ways that I prepare. So that's my seeds prepared, and from tomorrow it really is, I'm going to be in the garden most of the day and I've got to be utterly focused. The other thing I want to talk to you about is in the kitchen, how you can prepare. Now, one of the best ways that I prepare in the kitchen and get organised is that I don't know what I would do without a freezer. That's a story for another day, but I need a freezer. And in the freezer, when I cook, I always cook a little bit more. And then in these foil trays that you can get, I freeze what's left. I'll label it, wrap it up in another plastic, something or the other to keep it fresh, and put it in, to keep it sealed, and put it in the freezer. And I just want to show you just one of my lists for the freezer, just to give you an idea. So let me tell you, over here you've got in tray 2, everything that I've put in tray 2. And you can see I've got lamb stock and frozen curry and meat gravy and other bits and pieces. And when I've used them, I literally just scratch them out with a black marker. It's a very good way to be organised, and you can set up your own kind of pattern and codes. Like I star some things that I know are stock or things that I'm going to use in soups and other things. I star them, or if there's a curry I underline it, because then I can go straight to where anything red underlined is a curry, and I can take it out if I have a visitor. Visitors that come to my house, they don't have to be invited, they don't have to make appointments, although it's nice for me to know when they're coming. But generally I've got food in my freezer if somebody just turns up, and it's a great habit I've got from my parents, from my mum in particular, where they always have somebody in their house and there's always food. And I don't know what the word is in English for barakat, but it just seems that so many people enter their doors and there's always food, and that food, no matter how little it is, always goes a long way. We've always been brought up believing and understanding, and I actually do believe this to be true, is that when you cook something, and you cook something at home from your heart, the mother's love, somebody's name is already written on it. whoever's going to get that food. And it's happened so many times where I've cooked something and I can't wait to eat it, or it's for a particular person or for the family, and then it ends up being eaten by someone else, or a guest comes around. And we always like that. We don't have what you have in the West, a very selfish way of looking at things, that why did you turn up unannounced, and oh, can't give you that's not yours. You've cooked that for us. It's all about me, myself and I, and it's also about a mindset of lack, of lack and not wanting to share, and selfishness. You know, this fear, it's all stems from some sort of fear that, oh, I can't give them my food. What you don't understand is when you give to others from your heart, especially food that you've cooked, the rewards from God are second to none. Not that you're doing it for that reason. That would have a detrimental effect. I'm just saying that that's how we should be living, by thinking that I can feed another person. If we all had that mentality, there would be no poverty in the world. There really wouldn't. But the mentality I'm talking about, that we have all embraced, the vast majority of the population of the world has embraced today, is the opposite. And that comes from unfortunately, an evil and satanic source. And I'm not saying that metaphorically. Literally, it comes from an evil and satanic source. So the more that you study scripture and become closer to God and pray, because your prayers are heard, the more that you engage in that, the more chance and probability you have that God will guide you. And if you are lucky enough to be guided by God, your eyes will open, your ears will hear differently, and you will think differently as well. Very important. Now, another thing I want to share with you as part of being planned and organised is, for example, I was thinking in my mind, well, you know what? I need to not prune, but my plum trees, last year they had these little maggots in them, and I need to do something to stop that. So I go straight onto YouTube and I do some research, and lots comes up. And when you do that, quite often you find YouTube accounts like mine, which are very basic, non-pretentious, and they don't have those that actually share their YouTube are not concerned with monetization, not concerned with advertising, and not even concerned with their following. And I found someone this morning, and I'm going to share his details down below, and I haven't looked into him a great deal, but I watched 1 or 2 videos, and he's a gardener, and from Cambridgeshire, which is great because it means that the environment he's growing in is the same as mine, and the weather probably too. And he's a fantastic gardener who's been gardening for 40 years and used to write for Gardener's World, and yet he's only got 1,000 followers and he's been going for some time. So maybe he's not as dynamic, maybe he's not concerned with advertising, but those are the diamond accounts. So I'm going to be watching his videos because, like mine, it's his way of life, and he shares what he's doing any particular day in the garden, and he does the videos and puts them out there. So it's very seasonal. That'll be very helpful to you. And I got some really good tips. And because he's an organic gardener, I got some great tips on how to avoid these worms coming in, and it's by using pheromone, or there's some kind of a smell that is similar to the odour that a female moth releases, and it's the male moths that come to fertilise the eggs, and then these worms go into the burrow into the plum. So he shows how you can avoid the male moths going to look for the females there, because they get attracted to this smell. They go in and they get stuck on this piece of paper. So that's how he does it, and it's much better than spraying chemicals, The other thing that you can do to stop this happening, and my mother's done this as well, and it's that she's taken aspirin. Now, if you can get a good quality aspirin, as close to willow bark as possible, aspirin is a derivative of that, and crush it in, and really crush it in warm water and then cool it down. You can spray that onto the young buds, flowering buds, and that will also stop the worms. And I might do that, the maggots, worms, whatever they are, I might do that. Remember, I'm learning as well, and I'm just sharing with you, but I'm sharing how I learn. And then I get out and do it and give it a go. I keep impressing this upon you. The other thing about being prepared and focused, how are we doing for time? It's 10 minutes is enough, so I can talk about that another time. So enjoy your day, and I'll put the notes below a little bit later in the day.